All right, here we go with lesson 2 on unit conversions. Okay, remember units are really extremely important in mathematics. Whenever you're doing any kind of mathematical equation, we always like to have the application to it. Just finding x doesn't make much sense if you don't know what x was to begin with. And especially when we talk about functions and how things are relations, you want to know what those things are that are relating. Are we talking about distance in miles? Are we talking about distance in feet? Are we talking about distance in inches? How about time? Is it in seconds, minutes, hours, decades, years? We want to know those kinds of units so that we can make sense of the information. So remember, we often also will need to convert from one unit to another in particular problems, and we can almost always use proportional reasoning to do the job. Okay, so what is proportional reasoning? It's simply making up proportions, setting up ratios, doing the cross-multiplying stuff that we've seen before in the past, or multiplying by reciprocals, those kind of actions as we try to convert units. So let's take a look at this first one. Tom has traveled a total of 7.5 miles. If there are 5,280 feet in each mile, how many feet did Tom travel? So the first thing I like to try and think about here is what are the things that are being related? Well, we have a total amount of miles at 7.5, right? So I have 7.5 miles. I'm trying to figure out how many feet are in that many miles. So I don't know how many feet. But now how can I make some sense of this? Well, I know how many feet are in 1 mile. There's this many feet in each mile, so in other words, in 1 mile. So let's try to keep the units the same, feet and miles. And in 1 mile, there are 5,280 feet. All right, so with a little bit of cross multiplying here, or either way, we could multiply by 7.5 to get rid of the 7.5 down in the denominator here, or you cross multiply. So I would get x is equal to 5,280 times 7.5. And so x equals 39,600. And so what is it we were looking for? How many feet did Tom travel? Okay, so this is in feet. All right. So x stood for feet. It was up here. That was the label that was with our x. Okay, so it's still in feet. So 39,600 feet is how many feet he traveled. That's how many feet are in 7.5 miles. So what should you take from this? You're setting up these proportions again. You're setting up ratios, okay? Feet to miles, make sure our units are consistent. All right, so let's take a look at this. If there are exactly 30.48 centimeters in 1 foot, how many centimeters are in a yard? Well, let's try this. Let's see. Let's go with centimeters in 1 foot. Okay, so we have 30.48 centimeters in 1 foot. And what are we trying to convert this to? We're trying to go to yards. Okay, so how many feet are in a yard? See, 1 foot, 3 feet in 1 yard. So notice I don't have this equal to each other anymore. Okay, we're multiplying here now. We're trying to figure out how many feet are in a yard. So what's going to happen is we're going to end up with this feet label and this feet label on top of each other, which means they cancel out. So what is that telling us? That's going to leave us with centimeters in a yard. Okay, so if we had an equal sign here, this would not work out. So what we want to do is we want to multiply and find out through multiplication. And what you always kind of look for, what unit is it that you don't want? Well, we don't want feet, so I needed feet up here so it would cancel off with the feet down here. And I did want yards, right? That's what I'm looking for in this question. How many centimeters are in a yard? So I needed to have the centimeters to stay and the yards to stay. Notice there's nothing that will cancel out with the centimeters or the yards. Okay, so I end up with 30 times 0.48, and that is 91.44, and that is how many centimeters are in 1 yard. Okay, remember multiplying fractions. When you multiply them, you go straight across. Okay, that's where I got the 30.48 times 3, and the 1 times 1 is still 1. All right, let's take a look at this one. A gas tank holds 2.2 cubic feet of gasoline. If you can fill the tank at a rate of 3 gallons per minute, how long will it take to fill the tank? And it gives you some important information. There are 7.5 gallons of gas per cubic foot. All right, so what is it we know? We know there are 7.5 gallons in 1, let me go with foot cubed. See that little 3 there? Cubic feet. All right, so it says there are 7.5 gallons of gas per cubic foot. So 7.5 gallons in 1 cubic foot. Now, how am I going to be converting this? I'm going to need to, I want to convert the gas tank holds, so I want to find out how much this gas tank holds in gallons, right? It tells me it in cubic feet, 2.2 cubic feet, and I need to find out how many gallons are 2.2 cubic feet. So, let's see. Let's see what this equals. This equals, I don't know how many gallons. See the difference between this one and the last one? I have all of the same, I have not been making any conversions yet. I'm just looking for the amount of gallons per cubic foot right now. So once again, I can use cross multiplication if I want, and I end up getting X, as in gallons, to be 16.5 gallons. Okay, so I did this, 1x, and I did 2.2 times 7.5. Okay, and that got me 16.5 gallons. So that's how many gallons are in the gas tank total. Okay, so now I'm not done yet. It says if you can fill the tank at a rate of 3 gallons per minute, how long will it take to fill the tank? Alright, so this is where this question gets a little bit tricky. Okay, so I know that if I can fill 3 gallons per minute. Okay, so for every minute that goes by, t is going to be minutes in time. Okay, time in minutes. And the total that I want this to equal is, I want it to be 16.5 gallons. Okay, and so if this 3 here, let me actually erase that and show you how these labels are going to work out. So the 3 was in gallons per minute. 3 gallons in 1 minute. And I'm wondering how many gallons, 16.5 gallons, how long it's going to take, X minutes. Okay, so again, I can use cross multiplication if I want. I end up getting 16.5 times 1 is 16.5, and 3 times x is 3x. All right, dividing by 3 is going to tell me that it takes 5.5 is what x is, and x was, what's the label down here? It's minutes. So x is in minutes, so it's 5.5 minutes. 5.5 minutes. All right, so we had to set up 2 different proportions that time. Again, the labels all stayed the same. I had gallons over minutes and gallons over minutes. All right, so now how do we convert things? This is where stuff gets kind of tricky. Whenever you're converting, we always want to remember that we're going to be multiplying. Okay, we're not going to have an equal sign between things. Okay, so if we have to convert rates, we're going to be multiplying. It's the first, major theme to this. Converting a speed of 30 miles per hour into feet per second. So I need to change both the distance and the time on this. Okay? And again, it says given that there are 5,280 feet in a mile. So what do we know? We know 30 miles in 1 hour. And that's what we're going to start with, because we're going to convert that to something else. We're going to start with that. So we need to convert this. We have to figure out how many. We're going to want the miles to go away. So we want to figure out, and we're going to want the hours to go away. But let's start with the miles. If we want these miles to cross off and all that's left is feet, then I would need to have the miles down here, because now it's going to be miles over miles when we multiply this, and they'll cross off, which means I'd want feet up here. So what do I have in terms of feet and miles? Well, I know that there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Okay? So far, so good. Now we're going to try to convert this hours into seconds. The problem is hours don't go into seconds very nicely, but we know something about hours and minutes. So if I want the hours to go away, I can put hours up here. 1 hour is 60 minutes. But I don't want minutes. I want seconds. So I know that in 1 minute, there are 60 seconds. Okay, now carefully, let's see what happens when we start canceling things off. By canceling things, I mean labels, because the goal here is to end up with feet. I'm sorry, not feet. Feet per second up here. That's what we're trying to get. So that's what we should have left when we cancel things off. So does this miles have anything it can cancel off with in the bottom? And it does. So this one and this one cancel off. How about feet? Does feet have anything in the bottom? Nope, there's nothing in the bottom that's going to cancel with feet. So this feet's going to stay. That's a good thing because I want feet per second. All right, let's look at how about hours. This hours right here. Does this hours have anything in the bottom that it can cross off with? It sure does. Hour. All right. And lastly, let's look at the minutes. Minutes right here and minutes right here. Those can cross off. Okay. And that leaves me with, in the bottom, those cross, the hours crossed off, the miles crossed off, the minutes, and that leaves me with seconds. So good. So my labels right now should be good. Now I still have all these numbers that I need to make sense of. So I'm good because I know that the top's going to be in feet and the bottom's going to be in seconds, and that's what it was looking for, feet per second. So I'm good there. So what's in the top? I have a 30, a 5,280, a 1, and a 1. So I'm going to leave those 1s off because when you multiply by 1, nothing really happens that's exciting at all. So 30 times 5,280, and that's going to be my feet. And in the bottom, again, I have a 1, a 60, and another 60. So the 1s, again, are boring, so I'm going to leave them off. And 60 times 60 is going to be in the bottom, and that's in seconds. So when I run this through my calculator, I say 30 times 5,280, and I say 60 times 60, and I divide those two results, and I end up getting 44 over 1. Or it'll just tell you 44. But I want it like this. I want it 44 over 1 because I want to know that's 44 feet per 1 second. And that's what I'm looking for, feet per second. So how many feet in 1 second? Okay, so 30 miles per hour is 44 feet in 1 second. That's the same thing. 30 miles per hour and 44 feet per 1 second. All right, so I know this is a little bit different. Just remember, whenever you're trying to convert stuff, make sure that you're along the way coming up with appropriate proportions, and you're always looking to try and have units cancel until you're left with the units that the question was asking you for. Okay, so use this example. Make sure you have this written down somewhere in your notes. This is a really good one because it had a couple different things that we were converting. and we'll be working a lot more on this in next class. All right, see you then.